Capital punishment is the legally authorized killing of someone as a punishment for a crime. In 1849, the Roman Republic became the first country to abolish capital punishment. Up until that point, it was a common practice in every country on earth. Over the years since then, more and more countries have stopped conducting capital punishment. Today, it is still legal in 54 countries and effectively abolished in 141. But that doesn't mean the people in those countries all agree with their government's decision. All over the world, the debate rages on about whether countries should get rid of capital punishment or even bring it back. I'm Danny Burke, and should capital punishment be legal? Those who believe in capital punishment will often argue that it's the ultimate punishment for the ultimate crime. In our justice systems, we believe that guilty people deserve to be punished in proportion to the crime they commit. Petty theft may earn a person months in prison. Rape or assault will earn people years or decades in jail. Murder is widely agreed to be the most severe crime of them all, so naturally we need the most severe punishment of them all. Life in prison is a severe punishment, but it lets the murderer get something their victims did not: life. Is a justice system fair if it allows criminals to have something as important as life itself when they took that away from their victims? For many families of murder victims, the answer is no. For some of them, their grief and suffering at the loss of a loved one may only come to a closure if they know the murderer no longer has the life that they took away from their victim. Life imprisonment is not a fitting punishment because it essentially takes all of the person's life away, the freedom, the experiences, the free will, but now the taxpayer has to pay for their shell of a life to continue. Another major argument for capital punishment is that it acts as a deterrent. The logic is that laws exist not only as a system to carry out justice, but as a way to stop crimes from happening in the first place. A person who steals does so knowing they may get a light punishment. They may evaluate the risk of getting caught and punished and decide it's not worth it. The crime has been averted. In the same way, a person who is plotting murder will know they have a high risk of getting caught, and if the punishment is death for themselves, they may decide against it. In this way, capital punishment is promoted as a way to stop murders from even happening in the first place. However, there are two sides to every coin. Those against the death penalty argue that it's not a form of justice, it is simply a form of revenge. Of course, our natural instinct may be to want to kill someone who kills, but humans pride themselves on their ability to do what is right and not only what their instincts tell them to do. Justice, in its purest form, is about punishing and rehabilitating those in our society who break our laws. They ask, how is killing someone a punishment that will rehabilitate the murderer? Next, they argue that it is not a deterrent. Many murders are crimes of passion. They are committed in the heat of the moment. When these murderers have reached a point where they suddenly want to kill a person and they follow through with it, they are not thinking about the punishment, and even if they are, it clearly didn't act as a deterrent. They point to the stats to back this up. In 2015, Louisiana had a murder rate of 10.3 people per 100,000. That's more than 1% of the population being killed by murders. Louisiana has the death penalty. In fact, out of the top 13 US states with the highest murder rates per 100,000 people, 11 of them have the death penalty. If it's such a strong deterrent, why isn't the top of the table dominated by states without the death penalty? It may be a deterrent for some people, but clearly not enough to have any meaningful impact on murder rates. Also, those against the death penalty point to exoneration rates among those waiting to be killed on death row. One US study in 2014 concluded that at least 4.1% of death row inmates would have been exonerated given enough time and resources. What that means is an estimated 1 in 25 people being killed by the government for murder are actually innocent of that crime. Many people's innocence have been proven after they've been killed. Those against the death penalty say that if there was any other government program that killed 1 in 25 innocent Americans, it would be stopped immediately. They say that until we find a system that punishes the innocent and only the innocent, the death penalty is not an option. Finally, there is the moral question of hypocrisy. Those against the death penalty will often say that it's illogical to have a society where we hold life to be sacred and teach that murder is wrong by murdering the people who murder, especially murdering people for vengeance and sometimes even innocent people without actually stopping any future murders happening. If killing citizens for committing murder is okay, then can citizens kill fellow citizens if they murder someone? A government carries out the will of the people. It is the people. If people shouldn't murder, then why should the government? As you can see, the question of should capital punishment be legal is filled with lots of smaller questions. Moral questions, legal questions, questions about effective justice and what is the true intent of justice. Having an informed opinion about capital punishment requires you to ask yourself a number of these hard questions and seriously consider views that oppose yours. If this video made you think, if it's changed your mind or even reaffirmed your belief, let us know in the comment section below and give this video a like. My name is Danny Burke, and you've been watching Life's Biggest Questions.